Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sharaya Maurice, and in today's video, I'm going to talk with you about how I do classical conversations at home at the foundations level. So if you are interested in hearing more about that, then hit the thumbs up button and stay tuned. So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I am a homeschooling mama of 3 kiddos, ages 1, 3, and 5, and I like sharing videos about how you can simplify your homeschool to save you time, money, and your sanity. Because if you are anything like me, then I can do with saving in all 3 of those areas, especially my sanity on most days, it feels. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, then be sure and hit that subscribe button and turn on the little bell so that you can be notified of all of my upcoming videos. And if you'd like to get a behind the scenes look at our homeschool, then you can follow us over on Instagram at the Sharaya Maurice. So like I said, today I'm going to be talking about how I do classical conversations at home at the foundations level. One of the first questions that I had when starting out homeschooling was how to do it at home and with classical conversations. And so the first thing to know is that at the foundations level, it's all memory work. So it's just memorizing facts and things that Classical Conversations has put out for each subject constantly. Every day you're reviewing and learning that material. And so if there was nothing else that I got to for the whole day, but I only got to the memory work, then we had a good, successful homeschool day. So it's all about memory work. And when the kids are at the foundations level or in the classical model, the grammar stage, they're like sponges. They're soaking in all of this information. And so it's good for them to get all of the facts in their heads so that they can use it at a later date when they're ready to understand why and how and put all of those facts together into coherent information that they can then talk about to other people. So that's generally an overview of the classical model. So with Classical Conversations, how I did it starting out was I just went through all of the memory work for all the subjects for the week that we were currently on every single day. So Monday, I would open up my app. I got the app. I didn't purchase the Foundations Handbook because the app has all the information that I need. It's all the memory work that we need to memorize. And so I just purchased the app. I didn't even get the book. Still don't have it to this day, and I don't miss it. And I opened up the app and we'd start at Latin, we'd listen to the song, and then we'd try to sing it back. And then we'd do the same thing for math, and then for grammar, and then for history, and then all the way through, we would just do that as part of our morning basket every single day. And I actually did a video last year of kind of a day in the life. And so you can kind of, I'll link that video below in the description box so that you can kind of look back and see how we did that. So then I included the memory work in our morning basket every day for school. And then if we didn't get to anything else in the day, I was okay with that. But when you're a part of Classical Conversations, you still need to have your own math curriculum and your own language arts curriculum, which is reading, writing, and spelling. And so I chose Math Lessons for a Living Education. I did a recent flip through of the Level K. If you want to see that, I'll link it below. But I didn't correlate it to the math memory work whatsoever. So morning basket, we go through all of the subjects of memory work. And for math, and for an example, we'll be covering liquid equivalence. But then later on in the day, I open up a math book for my son and we do the lesson, and we're learning about patterns and counting to 10. So it had nothing to do with the memory work whatsoever. But later on, so we just go through the memory work and just keep going until we're done with the whole cycle. Later on, as we had worked through our math book, we got to counting by 2s and counting by 5s. And so in Classical Conversations, those are the first few weeks where you're learning to skip count by 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, all the way up to 12. So those songs and that memory work helped my son to grasp that concept in his math book faster than he would have otherwise without having had that foundation of that memory work that we studied. So it didn't correlate to it whatsoever, but he remembered it because we had memorized it, and that helped him with his math lesson. So that's how I generally do our memory work every day. A new week, I'll open up the week on the app and we'll start listening to the songs. Now, the app does not include songs for science, geography, and English grammar. I think that's everything. So I would go onto YouTube, and I created a playlist for each of those subjects that had moms out there who had created songs for those weeks of our CC memory work. So I can share those. I'll open up those playlists for you. I think that they're private right now, but I'll share them with you so that you can, use them if you're interested in that. But song has really helped us memorize this information. At least for my family, we can really pick up songs really well, and that helps us memorize. We don't use any other kind of memory device to help us learn new material. Like, I don't use visual aids, I don't use mnemonics, I don't use some other, like, what's another device? Hand motions. We don't use that kind of stuff. Now, I have tried that before, but it hasn't really been something that really helps. It's not as effective as music. So songs and chants have really helped us to memorize all of the material. So now if you homeschool year-round, I homeschool year-round, and I start the cycle at the beginning of the year. So usually what that means is we'll be done with our CC memory work in 24 weeks, because that's all there is, 24 weeks. But since we homeschool year-round, it usually comes out to about 36 weeks. So for those last weeks, we're either doing it as part of our morning basket, although that has been less of the case. I don't include it in morning basket anymore because we've already covered all of that information. So what I'll do instead is I'll let it come up naturally in our subjects whenever we're going through each of our subjects. For example, for history, we were learning about Constantine, and instantly, as soon as I started reading about Constantine and I mentioned his name, my daughter goes, she sings part of the timeline song about Constantine. And then we read about the Council of Nicaea and how Constantine stopped the persecution of Christians. And so that was part of our memory work from weeks prior, where we recited and we learned the song of history about how Constantine stopped the persecution of Christians in the Eastern Roman Empire. In AD 330, he moved the capital to Byzantium. So just in the reading of our Story of the World reading and reading about Constantine, we naturally had an opportunity to go back and review that history sentence memory work that we had already covered before then. So the kids make their own connections towards the end or after we've covered all of that material, which I think is just really cool. And then, for example, in math, we've learned all of the math memory work. And so now when I open up the book, since we're not doing our math review or going through the memory work during our morning basket, before we open up our math curriculum, I will pick a week or two and just review that week's memory work for math. So we're sitting down to lesson 2 of week 36 in our math book. And before we do that, I'll say, let's review skip counting by 3s and 4s. And so I'll pull out the app and we'll just review math for that week real fast. And then we'll open up the math book and we'll do our lesson. And we may or may not use the fact that we know how to skip count by 3s and 4s, but we reviewed it and now we're doing our lesson. And I do that with any other subject, like the English grammar stuff, nouns and prepositions. We're memorizing those definitions and what they are, but he's not utilizing that information yet. We're not at that level of grammar. And so he's soaking up that information, and it'll be used at a later day when we get to that kind of curriculum in his education. Now, I don't really have a review system for like going back and reviewing it, I just kind of sporadically, I pick a day and I'll run through all of the science songs or all of the math songs, or I'll pick a week and go through all of the subjects or all of the songs for each subject in that particular week. It's really kind of, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just pick and generally review it. And since my kids, you know, pick up songs so well, they remember them, and then for the rest of the day we're singing those songs and we're memorizing and reviewing our memory work. So that's really how I do classical conversations at the foundations level at home. Just memory work and reviewing it and incorporating it and just exposing my kids to it a little bit every day. And I know that in the future it's going to pay off for them when they get to the level of understanding in their brains where they can start connecting the dots and understanding why things happen and how we come up with this and all of that. So just trusting the classical model and the approach to education, and then using the work and brilliance that Classical Conversations has put together in the curriculum and applying it to our homeschool. So I think I said this in my last video, we use it more like a spine to our homeschool studies. So that's the base of everything that we do, and then from there we do our math curriculum, our language arts curriculum, our history curriculum. And if we don't get to those curriculums and we just do the memory work, I'm okay with that because we're only at the foundations level. So anyways, I hope that this video helped you understand how you can do classical conversations at home at the foundations level, and that it kind of helped you see how you can incorporate it and simplify it, because it sounds like it's confusing or how do I do this at home? But really in practice, it's really as simple as singing songs and even playing review games every day and then just having fun with it. So anyways, I hope that this helped you. If it did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Be sure and turn on that little bell icon so that you can be notified of all of my newest videos. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you any way I can, and just leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.